Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on Akashvani. This is Reshma Tiwari, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jai Shankars says multipolar world is feasible only by a multipolar Asia. First ministerial meeting of India-European Union Trade and Technology Council to be held in Belgium on Tuesday. In Odisha, 4-day-long culture working group meeting under India's G20 presidency begins at Bhubaneswar. Counting underway for presidential and parliamentary elections in Turkey and general elections in Thailand. Extremely severe cyclonic storm Mocha makes a landfall in Myanmar's western coastline, causing widespread destruction. And in IPL, Royal Challengers Bangalore blow away Rajasthan Royals in the biggest defeat of tournament history in Jaipur. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jai Shankars has said a multipolar world is feasible only by a multipolar Asia. Addressing the EU IndoPacific ministerial meeting at Stockholm in Sweden, he said the more European Union and Indo-Pacific deal with each other, the stronger will be their respective appreciation of multipolarity. In his address, Dr. Jai Shankar called on the leaders to consider 6 points which include globalization, Indo-Pacific and leveraging of market shares. On globalization, he said, the European Union has major stakes in Indo-Pacific developments, especially as they pertain to technology, connectivity, trade and finance, and it has to in respect for and observance of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The External Affairs Minister said that India and European Union need a regular, comprehensive and candid dialogue, especially with regard to the Indo-Pacific.
Indo-Pacific itself is increasingly central to the direction of global politics. Among the issues that it throws up are the problems inherent in the established model of globalization. Recent events have highlighted the problems with economic concentration as also the need for diversification. De-risking the global economy now involves both more reliable and resilient supply chains as well as promoting trust and transparency in the digital domain. EU and indeed the world is better off with additional drivers of production and growth.
Dr. Jai Shankar arrived in Sweden for a 3-day visit to participate in the EU IndoPacific ministerial meeting on Saturday. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a discussion on EU IndoPacific ministerial meeting, India's role in emerging dynamics of Indo-Pacific. In conversation are expert Skandaranjan Tayal, former diplomat, and Simran Sodhi, journalist.
Today we are discussing the visit of External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jai Shankars to Sweden, where he participated in the EU India-Pacific Ministerial Forum. He also met his counterparts from various nations on the sidelines. In his address later, Dr. S Jai Shankars made 6 very important points regarding the Indo-Pacific strategy and India-EU relations. Ambassador Tayal, when you see the points that Dr. S. Jai Shankars has made, and he has also talked on a various number of subjects, how do you assess going forward the India-EU relationship when it comes to looking or the perspective on Indo-Pacific?
First, let me say that concept that Indo-Pacific region is one economic space, one strategic space, and one political space is gaining more and more traction and more acceptance in the global strategic community, and different countries as well as regional groups are forming their own positions on how to deal with the Indo-Pacific region. And the European Union had come out with its strategy for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific in 2021, and we've seen ASEAN also came out in 2021. So this is a trend and this is a work in progress, and it is very important that how European Union looks at Indo-Pacific is in harmony with how India looks at Indo-Pacific, and there is more scope for cooperation between India and European Union in this region. And in that context, the statement of our External Affairs Minister, Dr. S Jai Shankar, was very profound, and it had very clear points on where the Indian interests and European Union interests match and how to go forward in this area, that Indo-Pacific remains a peaceful and stable space where progress continues unhampered.
Ambassador Tayal, we see that in the 6 points that the External Affairs Minister made, one of the points he said is the recent events have highlighted the problems with economic concentration as also the need for diversification. De-risking the global economy involves reliable and resilient supply chains and promoting trust and transparency in the digital forum. I wanted to talk a little about this word de-risking, because we have seen that of late, when it comes to China, this is a word that is being used again and again. So is the pointer somewhere that maybe the world today, including India, EU, needs to not really detach from China but de-risk from China?
Dr. Jaishankar also said that it is important that how non-market economies pose a formidable challenge to the normal market economies, which are the European Union, India, etc. And that hint was obviously towards China. Now, in the context of COVID as well as the expansionist policy of China, the danger is arising that so much concentration of manufacturing capacity in China, if that is disrupted because of some action of China on Taiwan or anywhere else, then there can be a very huge impact on global economy. And in that context, all the countries, whether it is major economies, whether it is United States, whether it is India, whether it is European Union, are now thinking of de-risking, that how to reduce that risk. And that obviously means that in supply chain, the domination of Chinese manufacturing companies should be reduced, and the supply chains should become more resilient and more reliable only if they are not concentrated in one country. And that is the long-term policy on which the European Union would work along with like-minded countries like India.
Ambassador Tayal, we also see another point which the External Affairs Minister made, and that deals with multipolarity. He said that the more European Union and Indo-Pacific deal with each other, the stronger will be their respective appreciation of multipolarity. A multipolar world is feasible only by a multipolar Asia. Do you feel that the world is actually moving towards multipolarity? And in that multipolarity, do you also see within Asia multiple power structures?
Many analysts believe that what China is trying is to have a unipolar Asia or Indo-Pacific with its domination and US marginalized, and maybe a bipolar world where China and United States will perhaps dominate over the other countries. But naturally, other countries, the groups like European Union or major countries like India, Japan, and others, would definitely work for a multipolar world. Now, the point Dr. Jaishankar made to the European Union partners was that if European Union is looking for or wants a multipolar world, then it is important that Asia, Indo-Pacific, must also be multipolar. It cannot be that if it is only bipolar, then the world will be multipolar. That is not possible. And if Indo-Pacific region is to be multipolar, then besides United States and China, their other major poles can only be India and Japan, and European Union needs to think and work to strengthen India, Japan, Australia, so that Indo-Pacific remains multipolar, and then naturally the world will also be multipolar.
Ambassador Tayal, we also see that one of the points the External Affairs Minister made is on the Quad. And he said that any evaluation of the Indo-Pacific will naturally factor in the Quad as a platform for global good. How do you think does the Quad play into the Indo-Pacific strategy as far as the European Union is concerned?
Quad is a dialogue, strategic dialogue among India, United States, Australia and Japan, which is looking very deeply on the present as well as future trends of Indo-Pacific. And many countries and even European Union have been a little hesitant in dealing directly with Quad because they feel that perhaps China may not like it because they see that Chinese see this as a group to contain China. But that is not the point. The point is that Quad is a dialogue to ensure that like-minded countries work together so that Indo-Pacific remains open, inclusive, stable and peaceful. And that is the objective which European Union will fully share. And Dr. Jai Shankar hinted when he said that Quad is a platform for global good. It is not a group or to have any kind of domination or exclusive for the interests of the 4 participating countries. It is an open-ended group, and this is the beginning of a good dialogue between European Union and India so that European Union also looks for more collaboration with Quad in the years to come.
Ambassador Tayal, we also saw that the External Affairs Minister, he had a number of bilaterals on the sidelines. And in his address, he also said India and EU need a regular, comprehensive and candid dialogue, especially with regards to the Indo-Pacific. Would you then say that the dialogue and the meetings that happen between India, the EU as a bloc and the EU countries individually, that also needs to go up as India goes in its profile and as India grows economically?
Yes, and the use of the word candid is important because India and European Union free trade agreement has been for discussion for a very long time, and it is important that that is finalized and European Union takes on board India's concerns, because ultimately the action will be more and more in the economic field. So that's why the External Affairs Minister said that India and EU need regular, comprehensive and candid dialogue. And I would think that this would cover, of course, Indo-Pacific and the designs of China or the dangers which emanate from China's expansionist policies, as well as the great necessity that European Union takes care of India's concerns while negotiating the free trade agreement and investment agreements with India, because India is a major country, 1.4 billion population. We have our own interest concerns, and which cannot be equated by the interest concerns and importance of any other country. So in that context, European Union needs to look at India with a different perspective and understand India's importance in keeping Indo-Pacific multipolar.
And with these thoughts, we bring today's discussion to an end. We will continue our discussions on the Indo-Pacific and the EU-India relations in the near future. With this, we bring it to an end. Thank you.
Thank you.
The first ministerial meeting of India-European Union Trade and Technology Council will take place at Brussels in Belgium on the 16th of May. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal is one of the co-chairs, along with External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jai Shankar and Minister of State for Electronics and Information Technology Rajiv Chandrasekhar. The EU side will be co-chaired by Executive Vice Presidents Mr. Dombrovskis and Ms. Vestager. The formation of the Trade and Technology Council was announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi last year. On Monday, Mr. Goyal will have a bilateral meeting with Mr. Dombrovskis, followed by Working Group 3 stakeholder consultations in the presence of business leaders from both the EU and India. The Working Group 3 meeting will focus on trade, technology and resilient supply chains and would have 6 business leaders from the EU and India. Union Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronics and IT, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, will be on a 2-day visit to Brussels from Monday. He will participate in the first ministerial meeting of the Indo-EU Trade and Technology Council, which will take place on the 16th May. Mr. Chandrasekhar is part of a ministerial delegation comprising India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jai Shankar and Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal that will also attend the same council. The minister will be participating in the working group several sessions including strategic technologies, digital governance and digital connectivity, green and clean energy technologies, trade, investment and resilient value chains. The objective of the discussion is to share perspectives on policies that can create a more favorable environment for technology investment and collaboration between EU and India. The Ministry of Electronics and IT said that the meeting will discuss collaboration between both sides in the fields of microelectronics and supply chain resilience, digital skills, digital public infrastructures, high-performance computing and quantum technologies, telecom and IT standardization, artificial intelligence. Both sides will also work towards an MOU on various issues related to the IT sector. Along with Dr. S Jai Shankar and Piyush Goyal, Mr. Chandrasekhar will also hold separate meetings with Belgium Prime Minister Alexander De Croo and Ursula von der Leyen. The TTC was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen in April last year. This is Akashvani giving you the world news. India's Health and Family Welfare Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has stressed on the need to focus on an enabling framework to bridge the digital divide across countries, specifically amongst low and middle income countries. Dr. Mandavia was addressing the G7 ministerial meeting on health innovation in Nagasaki, Japan on Sunday. The meeting was held to discuss the priorities, implementation and utilization of health innovation like digital health towards ensuring universal health coverage. Dr. Mandavia said that use of technology and digital health tools are an enabler and equalizer which can facilitate strengthened health service delivery. He said the COVID-19 pandemic has catalyzed the use of technology in health service delivery. The minister said India has already taken a policy decision to provide all such digital tools free of cost to the world as digital public goods. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a meeting with CEO of Walmart, Doug McMillon. Replying to a tweet by Walmart, the Prime Minister said the meeting with Mr. McMillon was a fruitful one. Mr. Modi said he had insightful discussions on different subjects. He said he is happy to see India emerge as an attractive destination for investment. The Defence Ministry of India has approved the 4th positive indigenization list of 928 strategically important line replacement units, subsystems, spares and components. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has approved the 4th positive indigenization list with an import substitution value worth 715 crore rupees. It will promote Atmanirbharta in defence and minimize imports by defence public sector undertakings. Details of these items are available on Srijan portal. The defence public sector undertakings will undertake the indigenization of these items through different routes under the make category and in-house development through the capabilities of MSMEs and private Indian industry. In Odisha, the 4-day-long Culture Working Group meeting under India's G20 presidency kicked off at Bhubaneswar on Sunday. The meeting will emphasize Culture Unites All in a campaign mode to highlight India's unwavering belief in multilateralism based on peaceful coexistence among diverse cultures and communities. Briefing media persons jointly at Bhubaneswar, Union Minister for Culture and Tourism G. Kishan Reddy and Minister of State for Culture and Parliamentary Affairs Arjun Ram Meghwal said, culture plays a critical role in driving collaborative outcomes and promoting inclusivity and harmonious living. They said culture provides pathways to collaborate and develop sustainable and balanced solutions to contemporary global challenges. To mark the occasion, Padma Shri Sudarshan Patnaik of Odisha had created sand art on the theme at Puri Beach as part of the Culture Unites All campaign. The third Energy Transition Working Group meeting, ETWG, under India's G20 presidency will be held in Mumbai from Monday. The three-day meeting will see over 100 delegates representing G20 member countries, special invitee countries, and international organizations such as International Energy Agency, World Bank, and World Energy Council India. The discussions and deliberations will focus on 6 priority areas, including energy transition through addressing technology gaps, low-cost financing for energy transition, and fuels for future. In a run-up to the upcoming G20 Tourism Working Group meeting scheduled to be held in the Kashmir Valley, Chief Secretary of Jammu and Kashmir, Dr. Arun Kumar Mehta, has impressed upon the officers that the success of the international event is the collective responsibility of all of them. He urged them to fulfill the responsibility fully. The meeting was attended by all the high-ranking officers from the civil and police administration, either virtually or in person. Dr. Mehta urged the divisional and district administration to keep the concerns of people in mind while giving final shape to the traffic, boarding, lodging and other logistic plans. He urged the involvement of the local population in the event. In Jammu and Kashmir, an infiltration bid by terrorists across the line of control in the Uri sector of Baramulla district was foiled by the Indian Army this morning. According to defense spokesperson in Srinagar, a group of armed terrorists, while attempting to cross the line of control, were engaged in an exchange of fire with the alert troops, resulting in a failed attempt to intrude into Kashmir Valley. A quadcopter flown by the Pakistan Army to aid the terrorists was also spotted across the line of control and was fired at, causing it to withdraw. This desperate action by the terrorists, duly abetted by Pakistan Army, is yet another failed attempt to disrupt the G20 summit and create disturbance in the valley. In Turkey, a counting of votes is underway in presidential and parliamentary elections. Voting was held on Sunday. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's 2-decade rule is facing a tough challenge from main rival Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who heads an alliance of 6 opposition parties. Kılıçdaroğlu, a 74-year-old former bureaucrat, has promised to fix Turkey's faltering economy and restore democratic institutions. On the other hand, Erdogan has been extolling the virtues of his long rule, independent foreign policy, and his efforts to bolster Turkey's defense industry continuously. Recently, he raised the wages of government workers by 45% and lowered the retirement age. The vote will decide not only who leads Turkey, a NATO member country of 85 million, but also how it is governed, where its economy is headed amid a deep cost of living crisis, and the shape of its foreign policy. In a presidential election, a candidate must win over 50% of the vote in order to be elected. Otherwise, Turkey will head to a runoff on the 28th of May. The parliamentary election also took place at the same time as the presidential elections. Turkey follows a system of proportional representation in parliament. Parties must obtain not less than 7% of votes, either on their own or in alliance with other parties, in order to enter parliament. In Thailand, counting of votes for the general election is underway. The first unofficial results are expected. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, the army general who led the last coup in 2014, is seeking another term. In Thailand's bicameral system of the National Assembly, 52 million eligible voters are taking part in electing 500 members of the House of Representatives. Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is facing a strong challenge from anti-military parties. Leading the race is Pheu Thai, led by P. Shinawatra, the daughter of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra. The 36-year-old is harnessing her father's wide patronage network while sticking to the populist message for rural, low-income regions of the country. Another party, Move Forward, led by Pita Limsa Roynath, a 42-year-old former tech executive, has also been rising fast in opinion polls. Its young, progressive and ambitious candidates have been campaigning on a simple but powerful message: Thailand needs to change. The election is the first since youth-led mass pro-democracy protests in 2020 and only the second since a military coup in 2014 ousted an elected government. Extremely severe cyclonic storm Mocha made a landfall along the western coastline near Sittwe in Myanmar. Country's meteorological department said wind speed of up to 120 miles per hour are expected in Rakhine coastal areas over the next 24 hours, while tides could rise up to 20 feet. Communication services in Rakhine province were disrupted in some areas as a major telecom tower fell due to strong winds. Mobile phone connection has been lost in Sittwe, Kaiktua, Mangru, Mongbra and other areas of northern Rakhine. The Myanmar authorities have launched a massive emergency plan. Meanwhile, the main body of Cyclone Mocha crossed Bangladesh Sunday evening. Bangladesh Meteorological Department chief in Dhaka said the risk to Bangladesh has now decreased. More from our correspondent.
Close to 1 lakh people were evacuated and 1,000 others took shelter in monasteries and schools for safety as the cyclone raged on the western coast of Myanmar. Though official figures are awaited, local media in Myanmar reports at least 3 people died due to the cyclone. In Bangladesh, the St. Martin Island reported the most severe impact of Mocha. At least 10 people are reported injured and over 300 houses were damaged as the cyclone crossed over the popular tourist destination. In Teknaf also near Cox's Bazar, wind speed of up to 200 kilometers per hour were experienced during the period the cyclone passed over this area. Rajesh Jha, Akashvani Samachar, Dhaka.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Shakti art exhibition at the National Gallery of Modern Art in Delhi on Sunday. The exhibition has been organized to mark the 100th episode of Prime Minister's popular radio program Mann Ki Baat. 13 renowned modern and contemporary artists have utilized various mediums to express themselves and present an artistic representation of Prime Minister's message on 12 themes. Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, will lead an Indian delegation to Cannes International Film Festival from 16th to 27th May. He will be accompanied by filmmaker Guneet Monga of the Elephant Whisperers fame, Indian actresses Manushi Chillar, Esha Gupta and acclaimed Manipuri actor Kangamam Tomba. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur will address the inaugural session through a video message to showcase India as a global hub for content creation. In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals suffered the tournament's biggest defeat as they were crushed by Royal Challengers Bangalore by 112 runs in Jaipur. After winning toss and electing to bat, Royal Challengers Bangalore scored 171 runs, losing 5 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs. In response, the Rajasthan Royals were bundled out for a paltry 59 in 10.3 overs. Meanwhile, chasing a target of 145 runs set by Chennai Super Kings, Kolkata Knight Riders were 126 for 3 in 16 overs in Chennai when reports last came in. Opting to bat first, Chennai made 144 runs, losing 6 wickets in 20 overs. In badminton, India made a dismal start to their Sudirman Cup campaign, going down to the formidable Chinese Taipei 1-4 in their Group C opening round tie in Suzhou, China on Sunday. In the opening mixed double contest, the Indian pair of Tanisha Crasto and Sai Prateek lost 21-18, 24-26 and 6-21 to world number 30 Yang Po Swan and Hu Ling Fang. World number 9 HS Prannoy then lost 19-21, 15-21 to world number 5 Chao Tien Chen as India lagged 0-2 after the first 2 matches. Now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Washington Post writes, Ukraine's Zelensky visits Germany, turning a page in fragile ties. The Guardian reports South Africa summons US ambassador over his claims it is alarming Russia. The Japan Times reports, possible snap election after G7 summit unclear despite Kishida's popularity rebound. The Wall Street Journal reports, having established Turkey on the world stage, Erdogan faces risky vote at home. The Financial Times reports, Turkey goes to the polls as Erdogan faces his sternest test. A quick look at the headlines once again. External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jai Shankars says multipolar world is feasible only by a multipolar Asia. First ministerial meeting of India European Union Trade and Technology Council to be held in Belgium on Tuesday. In Odisha, 4-day-long culture working group meeting under India's G20 presidency begins at Bhubaneswar, counting underway for presidential and parliamentary elections in Turkey and general election in Thailand. Extremely severe cyclonic storm Mocha makes a landfall in Myanmar's western coastline, causing widespread destruction. And in IPL, Royal Challengers Bangalore blow away Rajasthan Royals in the biggest defeat of tournament history in Jaipur. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.